What's up, everybody? Welcome to BakaBites. I'm Frankfurter, that is Magically Average, and today we're talking about the Chainsaw Man finale. If you have not read or caught up with Chainsaw Man, the manga, not the anime, but the manga, it is finally over. So if you are not caught up, please look away, divert away. This is your last chance. There are going to be major spoilers ahead. Uh, but yeah, before we get into spoiler territory, the Chainsaw Man manga is finally quote unquote over. There's no part three. It is theoretically, as of now, over. This whole series. Because part one ended with, hey, this is the end of part one or act one. This just last chapter, last panel said the end.
Hmm.
So, yeah, getting into spoiler territory from here, let's pretend that this is the finale. This is just it. There's no more. What is your gut reaction to how this ended?
Uh, Gut reaction. Um, Indifferent. Indifferent. It didn't really leave me pleased, but I wasn't upset. I'm more apathetic towards it, I guess.
Okay.
Which
I think
I mean, you had a lot of
go.
thoughts. You threw up on my Discord when I was at work with the amount of word
Yeah,
soup vomit.
most of it was like a theory as to what would happen if it continued. But like if this
Eh,
is truly finally it, the end finito, a part of me is like it's a small slap in the face because the whole series as a whole, that's redundant, the whole series as a whole. The whole series has been one tragedy after another after another. This man has known no happiness, and then we kind of get this happy ending, and it wholeheartedly feels undeserved.
well,
Like I don't know. It just feels like it's unearned. Like we get back one of the main characters that everybody absolutely loves. It's Denji's other stupid half in power, and to me that felt so unearned. And like they just plopped her back in, and it's just like, okay. But that also leaves so many questions of like, hey, did the Bat Devil not steal Meowie? Like, why is she there? If this is the same timeline of events minus, what Chainsaw Man did at the very end of the, part two, or like what he did throughout part two, if this is the basically same timeline of events, then why is Power showing up out of nowhere in the very beginning? Like
mhm.
she should have not been anywhere near there. She should have already been under control of the public safety people. So like is the Bat Devil not there anymore? Did Meowie not get kidnapped? Like that just feels really weird. And then Nayuta just shows up and she's the same age as she was in Act 2, which also feels weird. So it's just like having it be a final conclusion feels so weird because there's so many questions left open like that of just like, yeah, Nayuta being the same age as she was in part two, Power being there. You can explain a good majority of why other characters don't show up, and we can get into that in a little bit. Like you can explain that away, but it just, I don't know, it felt weird in that sense. Like it just felt unearned. Like it just, I wonder if Fujimoto was just tired of all the pain that he had caused. Like he had watched the movie and he was like, oh no, I hurt everybody with this movie and this act of, this part one with Reze. I need some levity or just something. I need to, pump the brakes and just give us a good ending. I don't know if that's what he was thinking or what, but it just, yeah, it all kind of felt unearned, in my opinion.
I so I don't have the same take on the ending as you do. I don't see it as a happy ending. I see it as an unfulfilled ending, in my opinion.
I
Because
guess I say happy, I guess, because inherently none of the things that are happening to him are being set up like they were before, or at least to our knowledge, they're not. We're left in happy bliss that they aren't, because we know that Makima had in her guise that she was like, hey, I'm going to control everything about this man's life to make him miserable, to draw a chainsaw man. That's my goal here. But now it's Nayuta who is technically the control devil, but like we don't know what her motivations are. We don't know if it's the same thing as Makima, but even if it is, like Denji doesn't have the chainsaw, devil, or doesn't have Pochita as a heart anymore. So it's just like, or does he? We don't even really know. That heart murmur near the end was kind of a oddity as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really odd. Like I say it's a happy ending because theoretically he's living out this timeline without the setup in the background, in
Right.
my opinion.
So the only reason why I look at the ending as unfulfilled is because my perception of the entirety of Chainsaw Man from chapter 1 to chapter 231 is that
232.
no, 231. I'm
Oh, sorry, not
specifically
including this last chapter. Okay,
correct.
sorry. My bad.
Is that it's Denji finally living a life. Like before he was just alive. He just kind of existed, right? He scraped by. He didn't have a purpose. He didn't really know who he was or what he wanted other than he wanted to touch boobs. That was it. For a long time. That's all he wanted.
Yeah.
And then he found a companion. And then from there, he kind of found a calling, we'll say. And then he had a purpose. He joined the Devil Hunters, and then he had friends. And then he had a relationship for 2 seconds. And then he felt betrayal and he went through that whole ordeal. We're gonna keep some things vague still. I know we were already spoiling stuff for the manga, so if you listen this far, hopefully you've read through the
I've already
manga.
said spoilers abound.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you haven't read,
But
you gotten this far.
Yeah, and then he started a quote unquote family. Like there's a whole bunch of things happen in the span of chapter 1 to chapter 231. And I view it at albeit there are plenty of moments where it's very dark and dismal. There's still moments of levity and jovial times, we'll say, albeit sparse and kind of fleeting.
Yeah.
All right. But that's life. That's what happens in life, right?
Yeah.
And then 232 rolls around and it's like none of it happened. Like none of it mattered. And you can tell by his tone and how he approaches everything. He's just back to the point in his life where he's still trying to figure himself out. Right? The opening sequence with him in that same shack with the eye patch, right? The moment where he goes to that warehouse and he's attacked by the zombie devil. He just happens this time around to get rescued by Power. And then Power basically is like, you were my companion. You're my dog.
Drink my
woof,
blood. Here
woof,
you go.
woof. Yeah. And he like all of his lines and his inner monologuing, it's that same kind of defeated monotone sounding, at least that's how I read it and interpreted it based on his facial features and his movements. He's just kind of going through the motions. He's just back into a position where he's at square one. He's still trying to figure himself out. He's still trying to understand what his purpose is in life. He's still trying to know who he is as a person. He lost all of that progress between chapters 1 and 231, right? So that's why I don't look at the ending as this happy ending. I look at it more like it's you've hit the reset button, but now you've gone back to being unfulfilled. It's almost like then you have this existential question of would you rather be where you were before, right? Having gone through all of those traumatic experiences, having gone through the trials and tribulations of being the chainsaw, having the chainsaw devil and being the chainsaw devil, or would you be more comfortable knowing that you can go back to this senseless, kind of unfulfilling type of life, right? But that question was, you didn't have the opportunity to answer it. He was forced into it. Puchita made that decision, right? So that's why I don't see it in that same perspective that you do, in that it's a
Right.
happy ending. I view it more that it's, I
I guess
actually feel like it's more of a sad ending than anything.
I I guess I see it from that perspective. I also like going back and looking at his dialogue and really just the panel art as well. I would say it's not necessarily that he's kind of defeatist or, super upset about anything. I do think he is a
Well,
bit more melancholy than he was before because
well,
he's not as animated as he was when all these things were happening with Pochita around him.
exactly, because there was no before.
So yeah.
There's not a before.
Right,
The
but you would think that like when all these things happen with like, hey, him seeing a girl naked, him actually getting food, him having well, he still broke as shit, as the last panel says. But like having these things that fulfilled him in, the original, we'll call it timeline, it's kind of weird that he isn't as excited about these things in this timeline. Like he's very muted compared like animation wise, like excitement wise, but like these were still the things that made him excited and made him, happy when they happened for the first time. So I just it's confusing that like is he actually defeatist or is he now like adjusted to what, those things are because it goes from hey, I'm broke as shit. Okay, power saves me into hey, we don't know how much time has passed with him being in the public safety in public safety essentially.
Yeah.
So we don't know if he's already adjusted to being like with power and with other women and other colleagues that are just in general having quote unquote friends, and we don't know if he's already adjusted to food, like he's like hey I'm broke but like let's go shake down our seniors for money so we can go get a meal.
Well,
So it's just like we don't know how far down that is to the where like the excitement is just dead on the inside for him.
but to that point too, when the series started, we didn't see much of the time when Denji wasn't with Puchita. We got to see the one flashback where he meets
Yeah.
Puchita for the first time. We got to see a period where he was quite young, right? With the door and his like the flashbacks to his dad. I think it's been a long time since I've read
Yeah.
part one, but
Yeah,
like,
so
but we don't see that, right? So what we are taking at face value is okay. Imagine a timeline where Puchita never came around, and so this kid that gets excited about being able to eat toast with jam and honey, right? Or and like get a place to sleep that's not wet and damp from the rain or the outdoor elements, right? And is ecstatic about it. We take that as he's ecstatic because he has a companion to share it with, right? Not that he has those things, but that he has someone to share it with, which is why he was, had such a positive reaction, even given those minor things he was being given when he was with Puchita. But
yeah.
now they're just it's just part of life, right? He doesn't have anyone to share those with, so it's not as gratifying when you get to eat that first meal or when you get that comfortable place to sleep.
Yeah, but he's got his dipshit buddy in power.
But he doesn't know who she was. Again, the whole idea behind this timeline
Yeah.
is that you've erased everything that took place, right? It's like
Then the question is why did it go back to the cabin right before the zombie and not further back?
I
Is it
mean,
like
that's
'cause
a
even if it
question to Fujimoto, because I that was the first
yeah,
thing I thought of too, is like at because that wasn't the point in the cabin when he became Chainsaw Man. It was when they were they were fighting the zombie devil.
Right.
So yeah,
So this was like at least months gone by.
that was my first thought too. Is like, why was it in the cabin? Now I'm assuming it's more of just a like it was
An
symbolic
easy
at
jumping point.
well, that
Yeah.
and that cabin had symbolism too, right? There was a shot at the end of 230 at the end of 231 at the cabin, and everyone knew exactly what it was, right? You're like, oh
Yeah.
shit. But yeah, I mean, we can nitpick that piece. I think the part that I'm sure many people are getting hung up on, and I think to some degree, I want to say it's part of the reason why maybe you have this approach too, is that like you have to erase the idea that he knows or has any connection with anyone that he has now met in 232. You have to sever all those, right? This is basically just us getting this fun little slideshow of, remember all these wacky characters we met along the way? Well, your boy Denji don't, because everything is erased. His memories are gone. This is a new timeline. We've hit reset on this world, and now he's starting back over as if Puchita never came into his life, right? But as the reader, we're seeing it and going, wow, he could have had this all along if he didn't have, Puchita in his life. Or we're saying, well, one could argue that this is a worse timeline since Puchita's not here, right? Like, you can take that opinion too. Like, is it better for Denji? That goes back to my original point. Is it better for Denji to have the timeline reset? Is he in a better position, or would he be better off not having this happen and staying where he was at, even if he was on the brink of death, right? Because he at least had lived those experiences and met all those people and made those relationships. That's what I've taken most from this last chapter, is like this battle between the two ideas of, are you better off? And it goes back to God damn it, I can't believe I'm bringing this up. It goes back to the idea of the old allegory. Is allegory the right word?
Analogy?
No, it's not an analogy. It's either an allegory or just like a folk tale, I guess.
Wise words.
But it goes back to the Reze movie, right? Do you want to be the city mouse or the country mouse? Denji was living the city mouse life. Denji was constantly involved in conflict after conflict after conflict. Life was flying by at the speed of sound. It was nonstop action. It's the city life. Or would you rather live like the country mouse? Would you rather live the quiet, peaceful life that's more slow, that's more methodical, that's maybe not as enthralling, right? But it's safer. And that's kind of where he got placed. Puchita made that decision for him when it decided that it was going to eat itself. It pulled the fucking nibbler from the Futurama Into the Wild. Is it Into the Wild Green Yonder? Which one is that? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know.
Where Nibbler eats himself before the universe ploops open. So yeah, it's that existential question of like, are you better off having gone through what you've gone through, even if it was filled with sadness and despair, but happiness and joy at times? Or would you rather just go back to where it all began and avoid it at all costs and try to live the quiet, normal, peaceful life? So that's why this long rambling, that's why, in my opinion, this ending is unfulfilling, because I feel no way, one way or another, towards Denji's position now. I don't feel happiness or joy for him for being able to like start things over. I also don't feel sad or exhausted at everything that he had gone through either, right? So it's just it's one of those weird positions of like, I'm very apathetic towards it. Now that doesn't mean I don't like it. That doesn't mean like that I hate the ending. It's just if people were to ask me like, what are your thoughts on it? My honest opinion would be, I'm indifferent. I really don't feel one way or another, because
It's
It's
not the worst thing that's ever happened. It's not the best thing that's ever happened.
No, but I mean, but the one big positive thing, and I think it goes to show just from our conversation so far, is that you can have a conversation about it, right? There's a lot of ways to
Yeah,
interpret it. It leaves a lot
this is
open for people to discuss, and I think that's a good thing with an ending, right? There's certain
yeah.
series where you want the author, the mangaka, to wrap it up for you. Like you want them to finish their own story. You want them to tie the loose ends, to give you the closure that you need as a reader to feel satisfied that what you've read was worth the time, right? There's certainly those out there. I think for Chainsaw Man, just because of how part 2 was going, I mean, it was chaotic. It was ever evolving.
Really never, yeah, really never ended any sort of like it never gave finality to anything. It felt like.
Right. But there was this like overbearing sense that that was never going to happen either. Like I don't know, in a similar vein of when we were watching Attack on Titan and we both looked at each other and we're like this season's not going to end, there's more to come, right? I
Season
got
4, part 2 is not the end of it.
right. I had that same experience by like probably chapter jeez. I'm going to throw out a
Like
number.
180 something.
I'll say like 2, no, I'd probably be like 210-ish, where I'm like, it's not Fujimoto's MO to get into these long drawn out battles. It's not his
Yeah.
MO to create these massive conflicts, right? Like you can argue like, oh, the Gun Devil was the big conflict from part 1. And yeah, it was, but it wasn't a long drawn out
Until it
battle.
really was not.
No, it wasn't even a battle really. It was literally it showed up, everyone died that was listed. If you were born on certain days or you were in certain areas or whatever, you died. And then we had the conflict with Aki, and that was it. Like that was the extent of it, right? Like there wasn't much more to it. This fight with the War Devil, and then all of the subsequent horsemen that came about as well, it was just not really Fujimoto's style. So I was like, man, something's going on. Like this is not how it's gonna end. Either Denji's gonna die, and there's gonna be some cataclysmic event that takes place, and we get this very awkward like Devilman Crybaby type ending of like, and that's it, folks. The world has ended, and then it's like, wow, weird. Or we get something like what he presented now, which is like, let's be creative with it. Let's give it some, pizzazz at the end, but keep it still in the realm of possibilities, right? People would be like, it's not feasible that Puchita could eat itself and erase time. And it's like, well, I mean, they've already established from the very beginning that any devil that the Chainsaw Man devil eats kind of gets erased. Its memories are lost and it gets
Yeah.
reborn, right?
And that's where kind of like the theories begin
Yeah,
of
so
why
now
this is not the final
Yeah, so now I was going to
portion.
say
And
this is a good transition into the theory crafting.
yeah, and I've spun a web. I've spun a web to the point where I'm convinced whatever he does next is going to just be a continuation of this series.
Well, you say
Um,
that I have a tweet that I'm really trying to get verified by multiple sources,
I
but
know
I
that
can't.
one where it's like he wants to write a romance novel in which the girl who gets the guy is haunted by all the girls who didn't get the guy and committed the
Yeah.
seppuku, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw that, and apparently that was from like 2 years ago, and I can't find the tweet either. Like that quote apparently is from a way long time ago.
First off, Fujimoto's Twitter is unhinged, especially the
Yes.
fact that he had his alter ego, who's like a 10-year-old girl, get like banned as well, and he has been begging Twitter to unban it. He's like, this man is crazy.
He tried to levitate, all right?
Oh yeah, If in case you're wondering, if you haven't done a lot of research on the man, first off, it's a hilarious research. Go do it. But yes, this man has videos of himself trying to levitate.
There's
and they're
also
wonderful.
in the back of one of his like one shot, like he has two one shot like compilation books. In the back of one of them, he says a story about how him and his girlfriend were gonna like bury their pet goldfish or something,
And then he
but
ate
he
it.
felt bad about burying it and he just ate it instead. He just swallowed it whole. Like the
Yeah.
dude is batshit crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, theory wise, like my brain instantly went into overdrive because there's so many loose ends here in this final chapter to the point where it's like, this isn't the end. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Because there are a few inconsistencies which I've listed out before with Nayuta and her age, uh, with Power showing up when she shouldn't. But then there are other inconsistencies which I haven't noted, which the biggest one being, why do chainsaws still exist if the chainsaw devil or the chainsaw man ate the chainsaw devil? Theoretically, all those devils should be gone because we no longer have Makima. Makima should have been alive if this was in that like same sense of, if we're on another timeline, but if Chainsaw Man's everything that Chainsaw Man did in part 1 and 2, if that has all stayed true, because to this degree, whatever he's done in those two parts, we've seen like, hey, it's carried over into this new timeline. So Makima doesn't exist, which is why we don't see Aki or any of the other main people from the public service public service department, because they joined due to the Gun Devil, and you'd have to kind of like go digging. But Makima revived the Gun Devil after World War II, and so because Makima no longer exists on this plane of timeline, we don't have the Gun Devil. We just have the regular
Well,
ones, the whatever's left over. So like that's why we don't see Aki, we don't see all the others, and we don't see Reze because she's off in Russia. She was never sent after Chainsaw Man, so
so
she's still back in her homeland.
so quick clarification. The devils that Chainsaw Man eats don't disappear for forever. They lose their memories and are reborn. That's why Naota exists, is because she's reborn as the control devil, but doesn't know her past. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
Is like whoever Chainsaw Man eats, they lose their memories.
right.
That's like the big
They also
thing with
lose like the technology as well, because like again, nuclear bombs went away, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, they're back. Like they
well,
rediscovered them.
right, because remember devils are created from God, I can't believe I'm
Fear.
going to use a comparison. Yeah, it's like Jujutsu Kaisen, where
Oh please, for the love of
curses
God.
are created in with negative
Ah,
energy from areas like hospitals and cemetery. Like, yeah.
yeah.
So the point about like why does a chainsaw exist? It's because chainsaws still exist. The technology still existed, right? It's just
Well,
the
they would have to
idea.
reinvent it. They would have had to reinvent it though.
No, they still
Yes, because
no. There's
why wouldn't they not have to reinvent chainsaws? If Chainsaw Man, or if the chainsaw, we'll call it Entity A, because at this point, what's the difference between Pochita, who's supposed to be Chainsaw, like the Chainsaw Devil? Chainsaw Man ate the Chainsaw Devil, meaning the physical object and the idea of the object have gone away.
right,
So they would have to reinvent chainsaws for it
but it's
for them to come back.
it's not the idea that goes away. Because, like, for instance, like with Naota, right, as the control devil, the idea of someone being manipulative and controlling you still existed even after Makima was eaten by Denji. Like the concept of being having an overlord of some kind, or just even
Right.
like a boss, like someone higher above you controlling you and dictating your every move, that fear still would exist. It's just the devil that's embodying that is different because they're reborn without any memories, so like they don't have
I'm not arguing Nayuta being in this or the control devil for the fact that like at you're right. No, Nayuta was the reincarnation of the control devil at the end of part 1 going into part 2. Chainsaw Man didn't eat Nayuta. She just died. So
no
theoretically,
no I
in
know.
that timeline, the control devil would have been reborn into somebody else. But come this timeline, The Control Devil is still around because Chainsaw Man did not eat the Control Devil
Right.
in part 2.
Correct.
So I'm not arguing that. But he does eat the Chainsaw Devil, or which is Pochita. So theoretically, the technology and the memories of Chainsaw should be gone. Because again, we're going to go back to the nuclear bomb. The nuclear bomb went away because the Chainsaw Man ate the devil for it, and it wasn't until scientists reinvented it again in part 2 that they're like, "Oh yeah."
Because the
Yeah, I'm
concept
not
and idea behind
right.
nuclear power and the nuclear bomb still existed, right? Devils
They
are
just hadn't
created from
created the
devils are created from the fear generated by humans, right? So that's why like the stronger devils are the ones that have the most amount of fear in the world, which is why the gun devil was so prevalent, because guns are, right, like a top fear for many, outside of the death devil and like darkness devil and others like that, right?
I think
So,
we're going a little bit in circles here in the sense that you were trying to get across that yes, they just reinvented chainsaws, but it's like
no. They never reinvented chainsaws. I'm saying chainsaws still exist. Chainsaws would still exist even if the chainsaw devil was eaten by Denji. Chainsaws would still exist in the world. That would be like saying if there was a fire devil and Chainsaw Man ate the fire devil, that fire just would not exist anymore until people
but
stumbled upon it again.
that is what okay, that's exactly it though. That is
No,
exactly it because the Chainsaw Man ate the Death Devil in part 2 and all of death went away. The concept of death went away. Everybody kept
because it
living.
wasn't
It's
reborn
the
yet.
same
Because the
No,
death devil was
anything that Chainsaw Man essentially
because the devil would
it
have
doesn't
to have been
instantly come
reborn.
back.
Right.
Right, and it doesn't instantly come back.
Right. So
What I'm
because
saying
so
is that
because death
when the chainsaw devil is eaten, chainsaws don't just magically appear instantly.
what?
Be,
I'm not saying
I
chainsaws
said
rain from the sky.
no, I'm not saying that you're saying that chainsaws are raining from the sky. Chainsaw Man ate the chainsaw devil.
Yes.
They instantly get teleported back. Chainsaws should not exist in that theory because the chainsaw devil was just eaten. Just eaten. So chainsaws should not exist at all.
So going back to your
Because again, we're seeing that like Makima's not there. Because again, then that would just mean that these people should still be there, but they're not.
So I'm trying to find the nuke thing, which is why I'm like painfully scrolling through. So the comment, maybe this will help too, because I get your point. I understand it. I think with the comparison that you made to the Death Devil, when people started to realize that they couldn't die, there was no fear of death. So to your point, when Denji ate the Death Devil, it wasn't reborn instantly, but people realized very quickly, because of everything that was happening, all the destruction taking place, and the fact that people were getting impaled and chopped in half and whatnot, that they couldn't die. The fear of death evaporated. There was no more fear of death because people realized, oh shit, I can't die. So there was no immediate recreation of that fear that would have embodied in a new form as the Death Devil. So
Thing should have happened for chainsaws.
Theoretically,
That's
yes,
what I'm saying.
but we can't determine that because chainsaws inevitably would still exist. Whether or not people were afraid of what the chainsaw would do to them is a different story.
But that's the same thing. Then we go back to the nuclear bomb issue, where like as soon as World War II is over, he ate the nuclear bomb. So what happened to the nuclear bombs? They didn't just go; they just went away. It's not like they just stayed there.
Well, I think
they had to reinvent it.
Yeah, I think with the nuclear bomb one, God, I'm trying to find it again. I want to say
it's somewhere in the 180s or 190s.
I'm in the 180s and I'm still scrolling through. I want to say with that one, he made a commentary. There was like conversation about the fact that after World War II, the countries had gotten together and had agreed through the Geneva Convention that the use of nuclear power and nuclear artillery would not be leveraged in future wars due to the significant impact it had in World War II, right? So,
But
so,
but that's why. But also
so,
the Death Devil was just like, how could I forget that this thing existed?
because at some point the presumption would have been at some point they might have lost their memory. They might have well, and it was the War Devil because war had gone away, right? There was a period of time when there was peace, right?
I think so.
I think it's
Potentially.
we're getting way deep into like the
We're getting
minutia
way
of
deeper.
this, where it's like where it's
I should just read the theory and just you do your research, but I'm just going to read my theory.
I okay.
And we'll just leave it at that for now. So, the final chapter shows Denji mostly how he was as this. I'm just going to read it word for word, otherwise I'm going to fucking mess this up, and I'm just going to pull Discord in front of me, so I'm reading in front of me. Um, this final chapter shows Denji mostly how he was at the start of the series, but in an alternate timeline. The current timeline he is on now is one in which Chainsaw Man's actions, aka everything he ate and didn't vomit up, have still taken place. The only inconsistency is that Nyuta is the same age as she was in part 2, rather than what she would be in part 1 at that time. But Power's back, which we can safely assume Aki is alive somewhere, probably happy now that the Gun Devil slash Makima doesn't exist. Because again, Makima's whole shtick is that she brought the Gun Devil back or revived the Gun Devil and made all that chaos happen. So like all these people joined because of the Gun Devil. Himeno is back alive somewhere, and then Reze is back in Russia somewhere, probably because she's no longer hunting Denji as Chainsaw Man. And whoever else died in part 1 is still kicking it somewhere other than, again, Makima. Great, wonderful. If this is where the ending, great, wonderful. If this is where the ending is, it's not like much has happened throughout the series. It's kind of just as we discussed earlier in the first part of the series. But it still leaves a question as to why does chainsaws exist if Chainsaw Man ain't the Chainsaw Devil? Why does Denji still have a heart murmur in the shape of Pochita if Pochita no longer exists? If a part 3 is in the works, it makes the following following questions a bit more pertinent. I also don't think it'll be a part 3. I do think it'll be a new complete like arc. Like a new or sorry, not arc, like series, like a side series following somebody else. But let's start with the following theory. Pochita is not dead and Chainsaw Man is alive somewhere in the world. How and why? Let's tackle how first. In chapter 1 of Chainsaw Man, Denji meets Pochita, who's on death's door due to puncture wounds in his stomach, in which Denji gives him blood to recover. It's never directly expressed, explained, or, otherwise said how these wounds were created, if it was by guns or, say a bite mark. Well, in chapter 231, Pochita is just consumed by Chainsaw Man, teeth and all, and does puncture his stomach. And looking at the puncture wounds in chapter 1, like it does kind of resemble like bite marks or like it looks like bullet wounds, but you could also explain it to be bite marks, and we're just going to assume that it was bite marks. Sorry, I lost my place here. But we will assume for this theory that Pochita ate himself to restart the timeline with new variations due to what Chainsaw Man did in the past timeline. This also means Denji was not the first Chainsaw Man. That would explain why Pochita showed up on death's door, because he did this once already. Now let's tackle the why is he still alive. Pochita claimed that he had seen all the dreams he needed to with Denji, but in reality, they were about to be decimated by what can only be described as wild beasts / a plague of beasts. The premise of part 2 was to stop the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which all of them were finally present near the end of the series. You had the War Devil in Asa. You had Death, who we'll get to in a second. There was Death, War. I brought up the 4 horsemen of the
Famine.
apocalypse. You had Famine and Fami, and then the last one, the last horseman can be interpreted in various different ways, but one of them is pestilence or disease and plague, which we saw a lot of insects, and that could be described as a plague. So like theoretically, we had all 4 at the very end there. And I say all 4 because Frankfurter, didn't Chainsaw Man eat death? Yes. But he also puked up a pigeon in chapter 228, a pale pigeon. This could very well have been death, as, this could have been death because War was shown as an owl in the beginning of part 2. So who's to say that all the horsemen in this series aren't shown off as different types of birds? Um, let's say appear different birds. As far-fetched as it sounds, let's fast forward to the last chapter. Denji's on death's door again with the zombie devil, in which power gives him blood to make a pact and revive him. That would just, to my assumption, that would mean that, like, hey, at some point Denji did puke up the death devil because death does exist again in this world. So is that gives further cadence to the, like, yes, the pigeon was the death devil and that death reigns supreme again and exists in this world. So yeah, after they make the, Power and him make a pact, they work for public safety, killing other devils, and meaning death is back on the table. So Pochita, seeing as Denji was about to die by one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, decided to reset the timeline and now exists somewhere in the world, injured and waiting for a new host in order to take on the horsemen of the apocalypse again. Now, for the last question I have, why show Pochita as a heart murmur in Denji in the last chapter? My only theory on this is that Pochita is collecting hosts of his own across these timelines so that they can all come together and combat the Horsemen. I'm not sure if he's going to do this in like a Go-Go Power Rangers type shit where they all morph into Omega Chainsaw Man, or he just somehow revitalizes the power in all of them so that they can take their own forms of whatever Chainsaw Man was in their timeline to take on the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And that's my theory, is that the next part or the next series that we get in this world will be the successor to what Denji was and take on Pochita as the next quote unquote Chainsaw Man. I know it's long winded, but like I don't know. I there's a lot of dots to connect, and it does seem to line up pretty well. But that's, again, just a theory.
Got it.
Are you still researching?
Yeah, I found it. It's in 210. Nuclear weapons devil got eaten by Chainsaw Man. He did not puke it up. They reinvented nuclear weapons.
Right.
Yeah, but the blah, blah, blah. The chapter before.
So that would mean, like, when he ate it, it's just like, okay, then what happened to all the nukes?
The chapter before
209?
is where they listened to a news report. The ongoing war between the Soviet Union and the USA, America has reportedly dropped a new weapon on several Soviet cities. It was used before. It was extremely blah 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 blah. The American military used it for the first time as a fast track to ending the war, nuclear weapons. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I guess it was confirmed that there was a nuclear weapons devil too. It wasn't just war devil.
Yeah.
So
it was just a weapon of sorts. But so that kind of leads into my point of, like, hey, if he ate the nuclear weapons devil or nuclear bomb or whatever, what happened to all the rest of the nukes? They just disappeared. Like, they're like, scientists aren't just going to look at nukes right in front of them and be like, WTF, mate.
well,
they're going to be they're just
that's
not existent anymore.
But again, like I think that I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm overthinking it or what, but to me, based on how devils were established and the concept behind devils, in that the more powerful they are, the stronger the fear is, right? Presumably, if the nuclear weapons devil was extremely powerful and they ate it, people would still know of the existence, but they might not know how to make it, sure, but they would still know that nuclear weapons had existed, right?
Well,
in the same sense, like death, everyone knew death still existed. It's just when the death devil was eaten, no one could die, so the fear of death went away.
No. Just to combat this, not combat this, but just to punctuate of why I disagree, is the fact that when it's described that when Chainsaw Man, as like the Dark Chainsaw Man, eats something, it just completely disappears, both in people's memories, minds, and just physically. when the Death Devil is eaten, nobody exclaims like "I can't die" or "put me out of my misery" or anything like that. The only people who remember death is the War Devil, who is one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and it's another horseman of the apocalypse that's being eaten, and B, Denji, who did the eating. Those are the only two people who remember it,
I think
if I remember correctly.
Fami does too.
Well,
But
also another horseman of the apocalypse.
does the
They're
falling
like
does
it's.
the falling devil not? Because the falling devil is a part of that too. But I mean,
I
regardless,
don't. Yeah, I'd have to go back
I
and
think
read that.
I
But
think there's gaps in that to begin with. Um, I just because like again, it goes back to the whole like then how is if Naruto was created, does that mean that people then began to fear the idea of being controlled? When did that this start? When was it established? How does it become about? Like we can dive deep into the whole concept of how the devils are then recreated or reborn post being eaten and losing their memories. But I think no matter the fact that he had a chainsaw at the end didn't leave me like, oh my god, that's crazy, this doesn't make sense. I was just like, okay, he's Chainsaw Man. It's just an excuse for Asa at the end to call him Chainsaw Man.
yeah,
Like
I will
there
say,
wasn't much
like,
to it.
I think the biggest inconsistency with the just whole uh Chainsaw Man eating something and then it just completely disappearing is the Control Devil and Makima, because Denji eats Makima. Like at the very end of part 1, eats Makima. Makima is still remembered, but theoretically should have come back at the end of this, if because it wasn't Chainsaw Man, like the Dark Chainsaw Man, that ate her. So she herself should have not been forgotten. She should have still existed theoretically. So that's another kind of just like
There's a lot of
WTF is going there.
yeah.
So yeah, there to say that it's been controversial is not even controversial. It's very highly contested, or like you can make theories on your own as to yes, there will be more, but there's also inconsistencies into those theories. There's also inconsistencies into how it ended timeline wise and power structure wise. Power being a pun there. But I think at the end of the day, like if this is truly the end of Chainsaw Man, I still like I understand your take on it being unfulfilled and being kind of apathetic towards it. To me personally, as this being one of the first full series that I read, because this was I think the first full series that I read, uh, it does have a little bit more of a special place in my heart. So to want to see it end on a high note would have been better, but like not necessarily the high note that I want a happy ending. I want something that makes sense. And to me, the ending that we were presented doesn't necessarily fit the bill of
Mhm.
what the overarching show was or series was, not necessarily show. But I think overall, maybe ask me in a month or so what I think of it. I'll probably think that like it was a good ending. Like I'll have a better feeling of it if it was a good ending or not. I think it's still a little too early for me to fully decide whether I enjoyed it or not, because I will come to terms. Like I am slowly coming to terms that this is the end. This is definitely the end because they said it was the end. He's already said that he wants to move on and do other things, but granted that was like a year or two ago. But at the end of the day, when you're not going to say like, "Hey, this is the end of part 2,"
Mhm.
and just call it the end, I'm taking that as this is the end. And all the marketing being like, this is the end of the series, it's like, okay, yeah, no, I'll take this as the end of the series.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'll have a bit of a better understanding in a week or so from now as to how I truly feel about the ending. As of right now, I kind of feel like it's a bit undeserved, but it wasn't bad. Like as endings go, like it was fine. Like I'm happy the doofuses are back together, but at the same time, it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I I think early on, I came to the realization that Fujimoto, I mean, most people should have at this point already because they scream about it in all the posts online and TikToks and Instagram reels on them. But Fujimoto's not writing for us, the readers.
Oh, 100%.
Fujimoto's writing for himself. So like us for like you even saying you're happy that the doofus squad is back together, he's probably thinking like glad that's what you took from it, you pea brain. Because again, like in his mind, I imagine it's like, wow, Denji lost out on all those experiences. I basically just I made it seem like nothing was worth it this entire time.
I mean, he gets to relive those experiences as a new person, but without like like a
But
long tested relationship of a friend. That's it. It's just like,
well,
hey, I'm building new relationships and new friendships with
how
these people.
how do we don't know if it's the same. To your point, we don't know if
Again, yeah,
we don't know like the gun devil's clearly not prevalent, right? At least as far as we know. We don't know where Aki or anyone else is. We don't know what transpired. I mean, like, we have no idea about what this could have done to his past, if it had any effect on his original parents or, wherever he came from, right? Like, we have no idea.
well, we would have known. We do know that his dad is dead because of the fact that the mafia is trying to get the money out of him still.
My point
So
is
we
that
do,
with all
yeah.
of the things that changed with how timelines work and how butterfly theory or like a string theory butterfly effect works, like in a situation where if Makima really never existed to begin with, what that could have done? Could that have spiraled into a number of different events taking place that could have ultimately affected the trajectory of Denji's new life? Maybe. Who knows? Could the gun devil not being relevant anymore or feared have affected that as well? Who knows? We don't know. That's kind of it's the beauty and the curse of having this alternate reality type situation take place, is that you can make it whatever you want it to be because you're effectively leaning on instances of an infinite amount of possibilities taking place in an infinite amount of realities, right? So who's to say that the exact same events will take place with Denji? All we know is that Denji went to a warehouse, saw the zombie devil, was greeted by a naked devil himself, was fed her blood, got brought into the Department of Safety or whatever, is a devil hunter, went to a school, made sure Asa didn't ruin her future by rescuing her from falling on that chicken again, and that was it. That is all we can say for certain of what Denji has experienced, because we don't know what the future will hold. Again, it's the beauty
Right.
and the curse of it. So
My brain staring off into space just now there came up with a new theory and then punched so many fucking holes in that theory.
I mean, yeah, and again, I think that's why, like, while I say I'm indifferent towards it, I don't find myself happy about the ending, nor do I find myself frustrated or sad or anything like that about the ending. It's because you can have these conversations over it, and it's satisfying to know that, like, yes, you can interpret it in many different ways, and I think it was purposeful. Fujimoto's intent was purposeful in that he didn't want it to be this close-ended thing, because it was never heading towards a closed book type resolution at the end. I mean, it was a fucking
Yeah.
war. Michigan got turned into a sword. like what was going to happen post that? Like, it was just going to be utter chaos and destruction
Yeah.
and annihilation. Like, so with where we were heading with, like, again, from basically the point where Asa remembers nuclear weapons to 231, it was like, what the fuck is going to happen? It's either going to be everyone dies, the end, no happy ending, or ending at all, period. And people are like, well, okay, what the fuck? Or you get this weird creative spin that's still set in reality, for this world at least, still set in some sort of like sense of relevancy too, and now you get to interpret what happened, right? So I don't think my opinion's going to change. The one thing I know for a fact, at least in my heart of hearts, I know for a fact is that this is the end. There's no way there's going to be a part 3. I don't see
Yeah.
how you could have a part 3 unless you change the perspective to some other character and just move away from Denji. Like the parts 1 and 2 are focused on Denji and the Chainsaw Man. Parts 3 is focused on, I don't know,
The
every
next quote unquote Chainsaw Man, or how they interpret Chainsaw Man.
well, I don't even know if it could. I don't even know if you would want it to be focused on a new Chainsaw Man. I almost want it to be focused on like a side character to Chainsaw Man, like have it be like someone that's related to or associated with Chainsaw Man instead. Whatever this new Chainsaw Man is, you know.
It's I want a side series of Konbini's car, or Kobini's car.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Um,
No.
but
Can you
but
imagine
like
they make a side series of Kobeni's car in which the car is like the isekai truck, but in a car form, and it just isekais people? That'd be great.
that would be
Horrible, but great.
yeah.
I would read the shit out of that.
um, but yeah,
Sorry, my
I
brain
don't.
goes in weird spots.
I don't think there's I truly and honestly don't think there's going to be a part 3. I think
Yeah.
he's satisfied with where he left it. And again, I want to reiterate to people, and this is not a dig at Fujimoto. I mean, it's very clear from the beginning, right? I mean, just listen to his comments that he makes about like going to see the Reze arc film. He's like, "Wow, this was sad. Whoever made this should feel bad." It's like, "Motherfucker, you made it. What do you mean?"
I mean, even last, and here's the thing, and I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory hole again, but like
Oh, for
even
crying out
last
loud.
week, even last week, he went to go see Hoppers in theaters, and he's like, "This was fun. This is a fun movie. This is great." And he's just like, maybe he's turned over a new leaf to where he's
I
just like, "I want happy endings.
I
I want
think
to be happy now."
I think he's just messing with people. I think it's again, he's not doing this for the readers. He's doing it for himself. He's doing it
I know.
and again,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to make him look or sound like he's this like narcissistic, conceited man. I don't think he is at all. It's just it's very obvious when you have a series that is geared towards readers and an audience versus ones where I'm like, it's like I want to write what I want to write and I want to write it how I want to write it. I don't give a flying fuck what the readers think or feel. I'm going to write this how I see fit. And you can appreciate that, right? I like when an author's like, "Oh, you like this character? Sorry, I already had planned to kill them off, and I'm not going to change that. So goodbye." Like, it's one, it makes it feel like it's genuine. They're not tied down to online commentary and the feelings of others that infect their work. It's like it's their creation. It's their world. It's their story to tell, right? And
Yeah.
Fujimoto takes that
No.
to heart and is like, "I'm going to tell it how I want to tell it, and I could give two shits what you think, readers. This is not
He's
for you.
made
This is for me." I
he's
bet.
made Shonen Jump enough money that he's like, "I'm gonna do it my way."
Well, and I think that was from the start. I mean, like, even if Chainsaw Man was a flop, I think he still would have wrote it the same way. Like, Fire Punch was written not for people to
Yeah.
enjoy it. Fire Punch was written to just agonize through it. It's like
I mean, and you got hell. Even his one shots, look back. Look back is
yeah,
fucking depressing as hell, but it's wonderful. It's a great story. Hell, even the other. Oh God, I can't
Goodbye,
remember the other
Airy.
one shot he did. Yes, Goodbye Eddie, dude. That I still think that that's a stronger one shot than Look Back is, in my opinion.
It's definitely
It's
more unique. But I mean, yes. So taking clearly like his being Fujimoto's uh, approach towards his creations, this was never going to be something written, the ending that is, never written for the audience. It was always going to be something written for him, which is
Yeah.
fine. I'm fine with that. I want a mangaka to make something that they want to make and not be, shackled to the loud, boisterous, and most often very wrong online commentary of fans and readers alike. Like, I want it to be something that is genuine to them. So that is, again, why I don't think there's going to be a part 3. I am indifferent towards this ending, but I can appreciate it because it's done in a very Fujimoto way.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll come to better terms again within another week or so. Gut reaction, this is how I felt. So let us know how y'all felt. Let us know if you liked my theory on a part 3/new series. Let us know what your theory's on if it does continue. But yeah, let us know how you felt about this ending overall. Thank you all for joining us this week. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. You will be in Japan, so I will have to find help as to help. I need somebody.
I was doing
That's
a little
anyways.
help wasabi.
Yeah. Help. Yeah, so the next couple weeks I will be on my own. I will be finding a couple friends to talk to in your absence. Ooh la la, you got our
These are just our
business
business
cards.
cards. Because I'm going to
I know you've
Anime
been playing with them
Japan.
all episode, just like
Because I'm fidgeting and I'm anxious
I
and
know.
I'm thinking through thoughts. But we're
I
also
know.
going to Anime Japan, and I'm very interested because I wonder what the anime community thinks about the
Like in
ending
Japan.
in Japan specifically, right?
Yeah.
And like,
I mean,
obviously there's no things Fujimoto's putting on for Anime Japan because it's just all the upcoming series. The one thing that
Right.
I will be sure to report back on immediately will be Steel Ball Run, because that's a whole other episode we could record right now too if we wanted.
I still need to watch the episode.
Oh, well,
I'm
it's not
behind.
even that. It's the fact that we don't know when episode 2 airs. Um,
Is it
so
not a weekly thing?
nope.
Oh,
Yeah, like I said,
oh,
could be a whole other episode we record. But yeah,
fun.
I am interested to hear just inside conversations, and I say here like I can understand Japanese fluently.
Understand.
I
Right.
can't, but I am intrigued at least to like ask people like, hey, thoughts on Chainsaw Man, and like see what the sentiment is, because I imagine it's very split. I imagine there's the people that
Yeah.
are like, one,
I don't know if
happy that it ended, but two, pleased with it, and the ones that are like, this is a travesty, how could he, this needed to be done this way, blah blah blah. So it's
I
probably a
don't think
split.
there will be as much vitriol as there was for the Oshinoko ending, which, in my opinion, I still thoroughly enjoy. But yeah,
I think again, it's, and we can continue this on, but this will be my last thought. I think Chainsaw Man is just unique because it doesn't it was never, it was his project. It was never gonna be something handed over to an audience to be like, and like, ooh, I wonder how people will respond to this. It was always, I don't, it could be one person reading this, it could be 1 billion people reading this. I don't give a fuck. I'm writing it how I'm writing it, and I want to write it this way because that's what I want to write. And it
yeah.
came out very, very loud with this ending. And again, you appreciate him for it. You can have opinions on it. You can theorize on it. It's all great things. But at the end of the day, you can't fault him for being him, the man who attempts to levitate every now and again. So keep on keeping
No
on,
kidding.
Fujimoto.
Indeed. But again, thank you so much for joining us this week. I will be back next week with a brand new episode with a buddy. We'll see you in what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that.
I will return April 13th to record, so you will hear from me on the 15th of April. So
we will see you. Well, 15th of April is a Wednesday, so
well, that's when
we'll
the
see you in
episodes
4
air.
weeks.
Yeah, that's when the episodes
Sorry. Never mind. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, ding dong.
We'll see you. Huh! We'll see you in 3 weeks. I will see you next week with a brand new episode. But if you want more of us, please go follow us on social medias at Baka&Co Podcast. That is BakaCo Podcast, Baka&Co Podcast. Wherever you get your social media feeds, you can find us there in short form. But again, we do put all of these up on YouTube. So if you want to watch us there, we're closing in. We've been so close to 500 subs. on YouTube for a while now. So please go
Well,
help us out there on YouTube.
and we'll be
Get
putting
us to
out
500.
we'll be putting out more content soon. We'll be doing. I will give
Yes.
a sneak peek at some point. We will be doing anime essays, not acronym essay, but like actual essays on anime series, like anime reviews. I'm excited about one that I've already discussed with Frankfurter. I'm going to be
Yes.
drafting it while I'm on the plane, and so please look out for that. I'm excited to start putting out that series. But yes, we would appreciate any and all interactions and keeping this thing going because we have a lot of fun with it. And
Indeed, we do.
well, we can tell we can we're close enough too. We can tell people real quick. If you want to spend more time with us live in person too, we will be at MomoCon this year.
That
Yay!
is correct.
We're about 2 months away, so we can start plugging it.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend. We haven't gotten approved for a panel yet, but we
Yes, we
may
did.
have a panel. We may not.
Yes, we
Oh,
do.
we did.
We did. You clearly don't look at our emails.
You that or
We
you read
are-
them so quick enough that like I don't get them. They don't pop up on my phone because I check our emails, but I always get the
We
fucking
are-
spam emails apparently.
Yeah, we are presenting a panel on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Room TBA, but you can see us there. We'll be in attendance. We will be doing press as well, so please make sure to interact with us. We'll have some fun interactive type engagement with fans that are in attendance at MomoCon. Yet to be decided what we want to do this year. I'm trying to come up with ideas, but trying to get away from the like blind ranking. We'll do something more creative and interesting this time around. But we will certainly be looking forward to attending and certainly be looking forward to meeting any and all of you that will be in attendance as well. So yeah, MomoCon, Memorial Weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. Be there.
Yes, indeed. And this has been the longest sign off we've had in a very long time. So until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you then.